Hello. Today we're going to look at one of my favorite languages, Scala. And today I'm going to help you walk through downloading, installing, and running a simple Scala application, all from the command line. Using the command line reduces the things that can go wrong, especially if you're building smaller projects. There's really no need for a full development environment. Using an IDE isn't really necessary until you start getting into larger projects. And even then, it's always a nice option to be able to fall back to the command line where you can have a little bit more control and see some better debug messages that you otherwise wouldn't be able to using something like Eclipse or IntelliJ. The first thing you're going to want to do is head over to scala-lang.org/download. And you can see the first step is to make sure that you have a Java 8 JDK or Java 11 JDK installed. So you're going to want to head over to Oracle's page and download that. First, you're going to want to make sure that you're actually downloading a Java JDK, and not just the JRE, which is only the Java runtime environment. The Java development kit comes with the required tools to build and compile Java applications and programs and a bunch of other libraries. The other thing is to note which Java version you're using. So I'm going to stick with Java 8. One thing that I think is particularly important to point out is that you should read the licensing agreements either provided through your Oracle Java distribution or from the OpenJDK distribution, which uses the GPL version 2 license, and make sure that they fit for whatever project you plan on doing. Finally, once you've chosen whichever Java version you plan on using, you can open up your command line. You can type in either where or which, W-H-I-C-H, Java to make sure that Java is added to your path, and also Java space dash version to see which version of Java is currently being used. Once you've verified that you've downloaded and installed the working version of Java, preferably Java 8, then we're going to head back over to the scala-lang.org website, and we're going to download and install Scala. Feel free to download and install Scala using the Microsoft installer. However, I prefer to download the zip file or the tarball and install it myself. Alternatively, you could use a program like wget to directly download the Scala tarball, and then simply unzip it and update your path to point directly to the executables. This allows you to type Scala to open up the Scala REPL, and then you can simply type in something like 1 plus 2, and you'll see that it evaluates to 3. Again, just to test the environment, you could type in something like println hello, and just verify that you can at least directly access these executables. On Linux, make sure to update your profile to include Scala in your path every time that you open up a new command line. Jumping over to Windows and verifying that my Scala environment works. We're going to compile and run a simple Hello World Scala application. In this file, hello.scala, I'm simply printing out Hello World. To build a simple Scala one file program, we can simply type in Scala C, invoking the Scala compiler. Doing so should create a set of class files, and if you've ever used Java before, this should look very familiar. Scala actually directly works on top of the JVM, or the Java Virtual Machine, and this is why that it's compiling Java bytecode. In its essence, Scala is simply a bunch of extra Java libraries that are tacked on using Scala and Scala C. And if you've ever built Java from the command line, you should see the striking similarity between Scala and Java command and the Scala C and Java C commands. Additionally, we can set our class path the exact same way using the Scala command as we would the Java command. Finally, we're going to download and install SBT, the Scala build tool, which can be found at scala-sbt.org/download. Again, feel free to use your system's software installer. However, I'm going to be directly downloading the pre-built binaries and executables. Using SBT requires that you have a build.sbt file in the root of your project directory. Finally, SBT requires you to have a project structure of src, main, Scala, and then your source files. We can run our Hello World program by going to the root of our project directory where our build.sbt file is, and simply typing sbt space run. And we can see our output, Hello World. Lastly, we can type sbt compile to compile a thin jar of our project. This will be located in our target folder, which was built by SBT, and in our Scala version directory. We can also see in our classes directory the class files that were output from Scala C in our previous example. Finally, if we try to run our thin jar using java-jar command, we see that we run into a no class def found error. What this is telling us is that it doesn't have reference to our Scala libraries that are required. So we can simply run the jar using the Scala command. If you do wish to use Scala using the java-jar command, you can either build a fat jar instead of a thin jar, or alternatively, you can include the Scala libraries. Thank you very much for watching, and if you run into any problems, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and have a nice rest of the day.